involved now. Be on the right side of history. Be on the side of good. Wear the white hat. This is your chance to be involved in human history.
You get in my face with that, I'll beat your goddamn ass, you son of a bitch. You piece of shit. You fucking goddamn fucker.
I have no idea where.
Oh, there's another one. Another plane just hit.
I have no idea where.
Oh, there's another one. Another plane just hit.
Behind bars here in New York City. He is facing sex trafficking charges. NBC News.
Have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order. When we are successful, and we will be, and we will be.
All right. Welcome back to Side with Side, everybody. Here live late night transmission from Austin. And there's a lot of crazy stats I'm going to be covering right now. And of course, it pertains to the global situation we got right now with the rising inflation, rising gas prices, rising diesel prices, and just the overall chaos. I think it's pretty obvious now. It's not just the conspiracy theories or the conspiracy theorists saying this now. In fact, I was just reading this one poll said 85% of Americans think the U.S. is on the wrong path. 85%. Now, that's a big number, right? Well, also, not only that, but 78% of Democrats say the country's headed in the wrong direction. So it's definitely something that the mainstream has already starting to realize something ain't right here. So we've been saying this for a long time now. A lot of you will say, can things be stopped? Can the recession be avoided? Is there anything we can do? Well, the answer is yes and no. Technically, yes. People start turning away from wickedness and, start standing up to evil and all this great, everybody knows what's wrong with America, but definitely the moral, spiritual decline is a big factor in why we're here. That's definitely not up for debate. But I think by this point, people are far too gone. Not a lot of people are wanting to accept this message. Not a lot of people are wanting to admit that they've been fooled. You tell somebody, hey, there's this group of evil billionaires. They're plotting to consolidate power and pretty much run the world together. And they're like, nah, I would have heard about it if that was real. As if, that doesn't even make sense. So, the only way that could have been real is if you had heard it first. So, it's just stupid because they're like, no, I would have heard about it already. So, aren't we? So if I told you right now, it's just not real because you would have had to hear something first for it to be real. But I do want to start off with a video from the great Greg Reese. Shout out Greg Reese, great legendary video maker who can really put things down. And I keep moving the camera because I feel like it doesn't like you need to have the camera right. It just makes a big difference. I think this is a good one here. No production today, just me going solo. So what we have here is a video that briefly summarizes the situation. So, as you know, there's the BRICS nations: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, and they are forming an alliance, an economic alliance, where they're basically gonna try to put their stuff together towards a currency, I believe. And we know that when the Middle East countries and Middle East oil producers um, start making deals for oil with, or start selling oil with a currency other than the dollar, that's when the dollar will crash 30%. You can bet your life savings on that right there. How do we know this? We know, man. I'm not saying that was given to me. I'm giving you the research. I'm giving you, this is from everything I've analyzed and read, there's still prophetic voices out there. There's a reason why there's this concept of prophets is not just a Christian thing. A lot of people, some people, relatively a lot, well, let me just put it this way. In the Bible, I think it's Acts 2:17. Even the Bible says, then the last days God will pour out his spirit, and your old men will see visions, or your young men will see visions, your old people will prophesy. So there's going to be a big spiritual awakening. God is definitely putting the warning out there. And I mean, how can I impart the urgency that this is going to be life-changing, world-changing? It will definitely be a before and after in human history when all this stuff goes down. So BRICS nations are forming an alliance, economic alliance. And I mean, we've got India. Look it up. India buying Russian coal with the Chinese yuan. Because of the sanctions and everything, Russia banned from the SWIFT system. So they're already circumventing the U.S. out of this, Well, the rest of the world knows that the U.S. is run by these globalist elites. They know these are Satanists, Luciferians that like to kill kids, have sex with children. That is what they're literally about. This is real. This stuff exists. I mean, you don't think it happens? Look at Ghislaine Maxwell, top billionaires, Bill Clinton on the airplane, all these super rich level, high-level people. This goes on. These are multi-generational families that have been passing this on for generations and generations. We're dealing with real evil. This will be exposed, and I think maybe not a lot of people are watching this right now. But when all this comes to pass, I think you're gonna look back and say, "Dang, I guess I was right." What about all the other stuff? Exactly. So let me get this video playing here real quick, and then we'll talk about the implications of this new BRICS alliance. And all I'm saying is brace yourselves, because it's going to be real, in the words of Joe Biden. Oh, now you don't want to play. Okay, that's fine. Production is not here today. Like I said, just me here. So everybody, if you're watching this, be a real one, leave a comment.
China has recently invited Indonesia, Malaysia, Iran, Egypt, and several other countries to join BRICS, a growing world alliance led by Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. While some are reporting that BRICS is somehow challenging the globalists, this is demonstrably false. The original concept for BRICS was proposed by the chief economist for Goldman Sachs. BRICS's new development bank is staffed by known players of the IMF and World Bank, and BRICS has repeatedly affirmed their commitment to the United Nations Agenda 2030. Aside from Brazil's President Bolsonaro, all of BRICS nation states have pushed the COVID-19 lockdowns and experimental shots, and China recently announced 5 more years of their brutal zero-COVID lockdowns. BRICS is also pushing a digital currency and has launched a vaccine research and development center for member states. BRICS is clearly not anti-globalist. Even the CCP's state-run media explains how BRICS now leads the globalization mission. But they are all turning against the United States and its allies. Xi Jinping accused the U.S. of weaponizing the financial system with their sanctions against Russia, which has caused the average person to suffer worldwide. And Vladimir Putin suggested that BRICS could provide a new world reserve currency. At the recent St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, Putin blamed the West for disrupting the international economy and announced that NATO's unipolar world order is over. In just 3 months, Russia has managed to reverse inflation and has increased their financial surplus to more than 4 times it was last year. Russia is now thriving, and Putin announced that their international priority is to increase food deliveries to countries that need it the most. They are pouring billions into their farming
Wait, let me
communities,
rewind this
raised
video
the
because
minimum
it's
wage
actually
by 10%,
interesting and
provided
I want to
more
check
money
it
to
out.
pensioners and families
I was
with
checking out
children.
something else.
He also China has recently invited Indonesia, Malaysia, Iran, Egypt, and several other countries to join BRICS, a growing world alliance led by Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. While some are reporting that BRICS is somehow challenging the globalists, this is demonstrably false. The original concept for BRICS was proposed by the chief economist for Goldman Sachs. BRICS's new development bank is staffed by known players of the IMF and World Bank, and BRICS has repeatedly affirmed their commitment to the United Nations Agenda 2030. Aside from Brazil's President Bolsonaro, all of BRICS nation states have pushed the COVID-19 lockdowns and experimental shots, and China recently announced 5 more years of their brutal zero-COVID lockdowns. BRICS is also pushing a digital currency and has launched a vaccine research and development center for member states. BRICS is clearly not anti-globalist. Even the CCP's state-run media explains how BRICS now leads the globalization mission. But they are all turning against the United States and its allies. Xi Jinping accused the U.S. of weaponizing the financial system with their sanctions against Russia, which has caused the average person to suffer worldwide. And Vladimir Putin suggested that BRICS could provide a new world reserve currency. At the recent St. Petersburg International Economic Forum, Putin blamed the West for disrupting the international economy and announced that NATO's unipolar world order is over. In just 3 months, Russia has managed to reverse inflation and has increased their financial surplus to more than 4 times it was last year. Russia is now thriving, and Putin announced that their international priority is to increase food deliveries to countries that need it the most. They are pouring billions into their farming communities, raised the minimum wage by 10%, and provided more money to pensioners and families with children. He also criticized the West for choosing an economic suicidal path and having suicidal intentions, which seems to be the only explanation for what the Biden administration is doing. They have deliberately cut off our fuel, which will cut off our food, and they are pushing the deadly shots for every single healthy child in America. They have opened our borders and are pushing for a world war with a thriving nuclear power, while destroying our military from within. The Biden administration's plan is clear: destroy America from within. And they have amassed an army of the miserable through mass psychosis, an army of ugly, insane, sexually obsessed deviants who want abortion on demand and acceptance for pedophiles. Psychotics who castrate their own children because it's trendy, and mindless drones who believe the human race needs to die. At what point will Americans begin to care enough to work together and do something? When the nuclear bombs start falling? America is being mass murdered by our own federal government, and the emerging new globalized economy will let it happen. Unless Americans take back control of their own government, America will soon end. That's the plan being executed right now. For InfoWars, this is Greg Reese.
Dang it, I was on mute. All right, excellent video from Mr. Greg Reese. Shout out Greg Reese. Let me get to the stats now. Decide what side. Follow on Rumble and Twitter. And I think that's it. But also on YouTube, Blessings 777. It's right there at the bottom of the video, right here. Okay, so let me get to the hard-hitting facts. Hard-hitting facts that the media definitely does not want you thinking about. See, because all the big players, all the billionaires, they've got their bunkers ready. You know, they literally have their bunkers, $1 million bunkers with food and weapons and all sorts of stuff. They're ready. All the people in the know, you know, they all know that I guess they've been letting on the plan. You know, the economy's going to crash, the weather's going to go crazy, and all the normal people are just, you know, they don't even have any idea of how bad it is. It's just crazy because when you talk to people, they assume, hey, I've never seen a great economic depression. It's always been great since I've been alive for decades. America has been blessed, very prosperous. And they're like, well, since it hasn't happened, it can't happen ever because it hasn't happened yet. You know, it's just stupid. It's a stupid way of thinking. You know, it's like, you know, people never think they're going to have to, you know, they're going to get in a car accident until it happens. People never think certain family members are going to die until it happens. They just say, no, I think it's going to be all right. And I get you want to be optimistic, but it's just the numbers do not lie. We're headed for an economic crash that's going to bring down the whole world system. This is the plan. They're going to replace the dollar with a one world currency. And Mark, save this tweet like they say. The euro will go down first. European Union will dissolve, become something else. The euro will go down first, and then you'll see the dollar crash after that. So be on the lookout for that. Euro will go down first. It's going to start in Germany. When? I don't know. But, you know, when it happens, you remember who warned you. Okay, let me start off with a quote. Let me get to the actual. It's 20 minutes in. I haven't gotten to the actual meat and potatoes, like the white people say. And I hope, man, y'all better not be offended at that, because I just literally that's you know, white people like to use that phrase. So let me get to this quote here. This is Richard Masson, Executive Fellow with the University of Calgary School of Public Policy. All right, quote, suddenly we're not only short of gasoline and diesel, but we're short on fertilizer, eh? He is from Canada. Which is going to lead to a big food shortage. probably, eh? The most vulnerable in society, both in the West and in developing countries, are going to face huge problems over the next couple of years because of this physical lack of food and very expensive food, eh? If you can get it, or very expensive fuel, if you can get it. And that's not going to bode well for a lot of governments. So this is a massive problem at the mega level. We're not just talking about, oh, Nebraska, you know, some little town in like some little ass town in Nebraska's got problems. No, this is impacting world governments. Some world governments have already collapsed because of this. Some world governments, you saw Sri Lanka the other day, they came out and they said the government has basically collapsed. There's no fuel, there's no electricity, there's people rioting in the streets over food, and no water, no food. That's the own government. So what's happened here is what happened there is coming to the rest of the world now. The rich countries, it's going to take a while for it, but it's coming. The day of reckoning is coming. Shit hits the fan. That's coming. Or how the Mexicans say, "El día de los chingadazos." It's coming, bro. Well, it's already here. Technically, it's just we're like in the beginning phase of it. We're in the beginning phase, but I mean, just think about. We've been worrying about things we're gonna get bad. We've been worrying about this for years now. For me personally, videos maybe about 2 years. But I was saying this, and back then people said, "No, I mean it's kind of bad, but I think it's gonna be all right." Why? Why is it gonna be all right? Oh well, it's just this never happened before, and somebody, the government's not gonna let that happen. That's literally what they say. The government is not gonna let that happen. So you think the government is just so wise and all knowing and powerful that why didn't they stop the Great Depression? Oh well, that was 100 years ago. People were a lot smarter 100 years ago, and that happened, and it was orchestrated by the same globalist luminous. It's owned by Zion, and they're taking us down the same road. Let me start with these stats from Europe. So this is Europe. It is coming to America. As you know, because of the war in Ukraine, there's been a lot of shortages. That rattled the whole world markets. You need fuel. Truckers need fuel to transport goods to the stores. Farmers need it to cultivate the food in the first place. So without fuel, food down. Without the petroleum that they get out, they also use that to make fertilizer. So without natural gas, or actually natural gas. Without natural gas, no fertilizer. Without fertilizer, no food. Now, it's estimated that fertilizer prices have increased at least 3 times what they were last year. That's at the lowest level. There's some fertilizers 5 times more. Just think about that. Let's say you used to spend $1,000 on fertilizer a month, and I'm not a farmer. I'm just throwing this out there. Imagine now that's $3,000. You used to spend $700 on diesel. That's $1,400 now. Where do you get that money? Okay, so German supermarkets, Aldi, Lidl, I don't know how you pronounce it, REWE, Reva, have been limiting sales of items such as bread, pasta, cooking oil, bread, pasta made from flour, just so you know. And where does flour come from? Wheat. Who is one of the major producers of wheat in the world? Ukraine and Russia. That's why Russia has that yellow and blue flag. The yellow represents the vast golden wheat fields. Historically, great producer of food, breadbasket of USSR back in the day, and even Europe. But now you're being limited because we lost up to 50% of the wheat production in Ukraine. Look it up. I read an estimate. They said the number of wheat that we have lost in Ukraine due to the war and all the whole situation, 400 million servings. 400 million, or food for 400 million people is what it said. Ukraine is the largest exporter of sunflower oil in the world, responsible for up to 46% of sunflower seed and safflower oil production, according to the Observatory of Economic Complexity. Second largest producer is Russia, who exports about 23% of the world's supply. So just there, you've got about 70% of the sunflower oil in the world off the market because Russia's being sanctioned. Ukraine in the war, you can't get things. So are things starting to line up here for people? Look at where we're at. We're already having shortage problems, and we still got a long way to go. Now, how bad is it gonna get? Well, I recommend you read this book right here, Savage Continent. Check it out. If you want to see how bad it can get, let me flip this. Let me know if you have read it in the comments. Let me know if you plan on reading it. I got this on eBay, folks. $5-6. Do it. Do yourself a favor. If you want to prepare, it's not just about food, guns. All that is very essential. But you got to know psychologically what can happen, what to expect. If there's one book you read, let it be this one. In fact, let me read a little passage out of here. Let me just show you something here. Let's see. Wow, this is crazy. I forgot I had seen some of this stuff. So this is coming. This is about the desperation of people back in the day, and now check this out. This guy, American journalist, I believe, went over there. Let me see. Was he a journalist? Oh no, he was something in the army. He did whatever. He was in the army. They were in Italy, and wow, this is pretty intense. So this guy's talking about how it's just, I don't know if I want to read that one, but check this out. This dude is saying that in the aftermath of southern Italy's liberation, he records, this is direct from the book, he records being visited by an Italian prince who wanted to know if his sister might be allowed to work in an army brothel. Italian prince. When Louis explained that the British Army did not have any official brothels, the prince and his sister left disappointed. On another occasion, when investigating the serious sexual assault of a young Italian girl, her father tried to press the traumatized girl's favors upon him. All he expected in return was a good square meal for his daughter. Desperation like this was by no means confined to Naples nor to Italy. A whole generation of young women in Germany learned to think it quite normal to sleep with an Allied soldier in return for a bar of chocolate. In the Dutch town of Heerlen, U.S. rifleman Roscoe Blunt was approached by a young girl who matter-of-factly asked me if I wanted to ficken or just cousin. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It took me a few minutes for my brain to click into gear and realize what she was asking. When he asked for her age, she told him she was 12. In Hungary, there were scores of girls as young as 13 admitted to hospitals for venereal disease. In Greece, venereal disease was recorded in girls as young as 10. So it got pretty bad, basically. It got pretty bad. And I'm sorry to say, folks, it's going to get worse because back then, yeah, the economy crashed and everything, but at least America was still alive and manufacturing, and there were still good guys out there that could deliver food. When America goes down, the dollar goes down, it's going to tank the world economy. The whole world is going to turn against America. It's going to be just like in Revelation, which talks about the beast and how all the nations and merchants of the world are like, basically like, oh well. But let me keep going with these stats, man. It's been 30 minutes already. Okay. Flour, sunflower oil, and sugar all being rationed by stores in Greece. After limiting the sale of sunflowers and sunflower oil online, Greek supermarkets are turning to rationing sale of sugar as well, now including in their stores over supply problems. And check this out. The flow of Russian natural gas into Europe has been cut back, and it appears this may soon cause widespread rationing in Italy. Italy may start rationing natural gas consumption to certain industrial giants. After Russia's Gazprom halved supplies, one day to the next, you're getting 50% of what you need. And, that's bad news because basically Germany, Russia also decided to reduce the flow of natural gas going in there drastically. And Germany has a lot of manufacturing. So right now, their biggest economy of Europe officially running short of natural gas. And they're escalating their crisis plan to preserve supplies for the winter, which is going to be here sooner than you think. I mean, it's already July basically. So 3-4 months, you're going to have those cold European winters, and man, it's going to be expensive. It's going to be expensive. Pray for the Europeans, man. There's Germany activated the second phase of its 3-stage gas emergency program, taking it one step closer to rationing supplies to industry, a step that would deliver a huge blow to the manufacturing heart of its economy. So look at this move by Russia, man. All the sanctions, all the kicking them out of SWIFT system, all it did was, Russia started making some really smart moves. Russians, basically, historically, the best chess players in the world have been Russians. Russians are, I guess, they're wise in long-term strategy. So Russia has a lot of natural resources, natural gas, oil, wheat. There's I think neon or whatever. A lot of real commodities, and they are pretty much the only currency in the world that is backed by gold. So it's backed by something. The US dollar is backed by nothing, and we keep printing it. The world countries are starting to understand that the dollar is going to hell, and they're moving away from the dollar. When that happens, that's going to be Jesus, man. A lot of people are going to be super poor, and it's not going to take long for people to start stealing. They're already stealing now. Killing for food. Okay, now Europe though is basically living in luxury, even with all those rationing and all these increases. Europe, Germany, they're basically living in luxury compared to the rest of the world. So we had the chief of the United Nations. This dude came out and said, let me find it. He said, literally, his words were, "We're facing an unprecedented global hunger crisis." Unprecedented means never foreseen. So this is the worst hunger crisis, food insecurity crisis, food shortage crisis in the history of the world. We're talking about the world as a whole. There's always been hunger in, parts of the world, but we have become so globalized. We have become so, seem together that you get a hiccup in Ukraine and look at what happens to everybody else. And this is the world they wanted. They wanted to put us at this point so that they could pull the plug, crash the economy, consolidate power, one world government. Headed by who? Lucifer and the Antichrist. I mean, this is going to happen. You will see it. Assuming you live, you will see it. You will see it come to pass. This is the stuff that prophets wrote about thousands of years ago. You know, these times that we are entering in now. We're already there. I mean, look at all the stats I'm reading you, and I'm like, what I'm wondering is what will it take to get people to say, oh shit, you know, what will it take for people to hit that point where they're like, man, I gotta get ready, I gotta get myself some of these. My recommendation: pay cash only. Don't use your card, they're tracking that shit. Pay cash only. Do it now before they start limiting at the stores, because you know, once people start realizing, hey, there's not a lot of food here at the stores anymore, they're gonna start bulk buying, and they're gonna wipe things out, and you're not gonna have anything. And when they pull the second lockdown that's getting ready to happen some point in the future because of the virus they're floating around, they're not gonna let you out of the house. It's gonna be a hard lockdown in America. If you do get to leave, it's gonna be like, oh, you get a designated 2 hours once a week for grocery shopping and all this crap. Of course, when you get there, there's not gonna be anything left. You know, so check this out, man. Poor people. Sri Lanka's economy collapsed, and what is next? And it's not just Sri Lanka. I mean, we had dang it, we had India facing problems also with diesel. So let me look something up. Apparently, China or India was running out of diesel, and they were having blackouts in the capital city, Delhi, New Delhi. So, how bad will food shortages get? How bad can it get? Like I said, man, you're gonna find out. Let me read you these fast stats here. If you want to get an even better, let's get a better picture of where America is at. Unprecedented global hunger crisis coming, says UN Chief Antonio Guterres. Meanwhile, 60% of all Americans are currently living paycheck to paycheck. 60%. That's over half. That's most people are living paycheck to paycheck. That means that they don't have money for savings. They don't have money for anything extra. They're barely floating. According to a recent report from Federal Reserve, revolving credit increased, and this is credit cards and lines of credit, increased by 19.6% from the previous year to 1.1 trillion. 85% of all Americans believe that the U.S. is heading in the wrong direction. 85% of all Americans. Of course, we were warning about this. Nobody wanted to listen. Look at where we're at now. We could have stopped this. We could have stopped this so easily. But now we're going to have to go the hard way. UK monkeypox cases soared by 32% to hit 1,000. Biden says another pandemic will come, and the U.S. needs to start preparing for it. Let me share that real quick, because you will see a second pandemic. There's no way that will not happen. There will be a second pandemic. They're already playing it out. They basically announce it in your face. And it's not because they're smart and predict it. It's because they're planning it. I mean, we literally got the documents showing Fauci funded coronavirus research in Wuhan. Like, we've got the documents. And I can't put that all here right now, but do the research. We literally have it all, on paper. Got the receipts. Are people going to listen? Well, At this point, I'm just convinced people are like spiritually blinded. You know, just spiritually blinded. There's just no way. Okay, well, this video is not showing up. Give me a second here. InfoWars. And don't be hoes. Leave me a comment, thumbs up. And you know, he's been saying this for a while, so it's not like check this out.
First, health. 2 years ago, COVID-19 didn't need any reminders about how critical investment in health.
Wait a minute. It's not on this tab. My bad, folks. I told you, no production today. Check this out.
First, health. 2 years ago, COVID-19 didn't need any reminders about how critical investments in healthcare systems were and health security is, both to fight the pandemic and to prepare for the next one, because it will not be the last pandemic we have to deal with. That's why the United States, together with the G7 partners and the World Bank, are investing in a new industrial-scale vaccine manufacturing facility in Senegal. When complete, we'll have the potential to produce hundreds of millions of doses of vaccine annually for COVID-19 and other diseases. It's an investment that will enhance global vaccine supplies as well as improve access and equity for developing countries. Second, in the digital area, our economy's future increasingly depends on people's ability to connect to secure information and communications technologies. We need to strengthen the use of trusted technologies so that our online information cannot be used by autocrats to consolidate their power or repress their people.
Okay, you get the point. Second pandemic coming very soon. Not to worry. We got the vaccine. Yeah, we got your vaccine here. So what do you folks think? What can I do now? Well, you better start getting prepared because there's nothing stopping this. I've been saying this for a long ass time. Not as long as others, you know, been ringing the alarm. You know what I mean? Shout out X Jones, you know, Steve Quayle. Highly encourage y'all to check out Steve Quayle's material. Man, that dude knows. And let me play this video on inflation because you might say, hey, well, the government says it's all going to be okay. They're saying not to worry. They're saying it's on the way down. Oh, really? Well, maybe we should just trust the government. Maybe we should just, you know, maybe we should just keep calm and carry on. Well, if you would have trusted the government the whole time, just check it out. Check it out.
Really doubt that we're going to see an inflationary cycle.
Most economic analysts believe that it will have a temporary or transitory impact.
The faster than expected increase in some of those prices is actually a good sign.
The overwhelming consensus is going to pop up a little bit and then go back down. No one's talking about this great, you know.
June 2021.
That will settle down.
Transitory.
Transitory, favorite word.
Most of the price increases we've seen were expected and expected to be temporary. There's nobody suggesting there's unchecked inflation on the way. It's highly unlikely that's going to be long-term inflation that's going to get out of hand. I don't know anybody who's worried about inflation.
Over the last couple of months, we actually saw it trended downward.
President Biden's chief of staff, Ron Klain, enthusiastically retweeted an economist who had said in part, most of the economic problems we're facing, inflation, supply chains, et cetera, are high-class problems.
Yeah, this is only the elites. You don't need to worry about everything. You're crazy. This was October 2021.
What is the Granholm plan to increase oil production in America?
Look at this bitch.
That is hilarious.
Well, the number one thing.
People, they're purposely waging a war on oil and, natural gas, petroleum. They are doing this. They are doing this to collapse the world economy, to collapse the world populations. They are using the climate change, environmental agenda to push literal high-tech communism, one world government. Look at the Georgia Guidestones. What does it say? Maintain the human population below 500 million in accordance with, in perpetual balance with nature, something like that. They're using this. And think about the Druids, they had all this nature worship and all these other weird shaman groups that had nature worship. We're always doing human sacrifice.
That the president can do is help get COVID under control. That we know is the root cause of inflation.
President Biden this afternoon saying he thinks we're at the peak of the crisis right now and that lower prices are on the way.
The inflation has everything to do with the supply chain. Make no mistake, inflation is largely the fault of Putin. I'm going to do everything I can to minimize Putin's price hike here at home.
If you want to get rid of inflation, the only way to do it is to undo a lot of the Trump tax cuts.
Ever since you've come into office, things are really looking up. Gas is up, rent is up, food is up.
I gotta say, this is the only time this dude ever made me laugh. Because other than that, he's like stupid. Or maybe it's just that his jokes are all by force. They gotta be Democrat talking points, which, it's not funny. But this was funny. I'll give him that.
Everything.
He's laughing because he enjoys it. Remember, these are hardcore Luciferian Satanists. These people get off on human pain and trauma and fear. Think about what a serial killer does. They really relish it. All right. What else do we got here? That might have been it for today. But on that same note, we were Gina McCarthy. I'm guessing that was the spokesperson. Who the hell is Gina McCarthy? I guess she's a press person for Biden. Who the hell is Gina McCarthy? National Climate Advisor. Okay, well, whatever reason, she answered a question about inflation. This is recorded directly just this April. Let me answer your question very directly. President Biden remains absolutely committed to not moving forward with additional drilling on public lands. They're purposely doing it. This oil problem could be fixed, but number one, we don't have enough refineries. We're not able to actually process the stuff we dig out of the ground. But they're shutting the refineries. They're shutting them down. They're not allowing new ones to be built. They're saying it's for the earth. They're saying it's for climate. And, that's why you see gasoline prices so high. And, you can choose to believe Biden and all these fairy tales. But just remember, 2-3 years from now, when you're lining up for at the store with your food ration cards, and your 3 of your baby mamas are hitting you up saying, hey, Jamal hasn't eaten anything, and you're out here. What I'm saying is, a lot of the losers will ignore this message, but it'll be a sad day when we're proven right. And I don't want to be proven right, but there's nothing stopping what's coming from America. There's nothing stopping that Titanic from sinking. Yeah. And so tomorrow I'm going to get production back on here, get things rolling again. So meanwhile, everybody out there, stay safe. Share this video. Leave a comment, subscribe, thumbs up. Catch you later.
Get involved now. Be on the right side of history. Be on the side of good. Wear the white hat. This is your chance to be involved in human history.
You get in my face with that, I'll beat your goddamn ass, you son of a bitch. You piece of shit. You fucking goddamn